Welcome to your deep dive. Ready to unlock some childhood secrets?
Ooh, childhood secrets. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, not exactly secrets, but we've got some listener material from an English language learning podcast.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. At first, I was like, English language and childhood. What's the connection? But then I dove into the material, and I got to say, it's fascinating stuff.
It really is, and it's amazing how these simple conversations about childhood can reveal so much about, well, just being human.
Absolutely. I'm ready when you are. Let's unearth those universal truths.
Okay, so we've got Ronica and Robin reminiscing about their childhoods. And one thing that immediately jumps out is how much they talk about play. Running after butterflies, like kids do, building these elaborate cardboard forts.
Oh, the floor building. Takes me back. It was always such a mission to find the perfect boxes.
Right. I remember spending hours building Lego spaceships myself. But expert speaker, beyond just being fun, is there something about this type of unstructured play that's actually, I don't know, important for development?
You're hitting on something really key here. Researchers actually call this unstructured play, that free-flowing imaginative exploration that kids naturally gravitate towards. And it is anything but frivolous, let me tell you. Think of these activities as like brain-building boot camps.
Boot camps, huh? Sounds intense for a bunch of kids playing make-believe.
It is. Studies show unstructured play is crucial for cognitive development. It's how kids learn problem solving, negotiation, even spatial reasoning. Think about your Lego spaceships.
Okay, so it's not just about the spaceship itself, it's the figuring it out as you go along, maybe even collaborating with a friend who wants to help build.
Precisely. And building that spaceship, or say a cardboard fort, it all involves planning, resource management, heck, maybe even some conflict resolution if someone wants the blue crayon.
Sure.
But these seemingly insignificant activities, they're actually laying the groundwork for essential life skills.
Wow, makes me feel a bit better about all those pillow forts I built instead of doing homework. But speaking of changing priorities, Ronica and Robin also reminisce about these simple joys they seem to miss as adults. Like, Ronica talks about the pure joy of drinking milk under the stars on her family's terrace, and Robin just lights up talking about getting to pick out the topping for his pancakes.
Oh, it makes you think about those little things, doesn't it?
It does, and there's this bittersweet undercurrent to it, like they miss that simple joy. What is it about adulthood, would you say, that makes us crave those simpler times?
You've just hit on the fascinating world of nostalgia. It's more than just reminiscing. It's a yearning for a time we perceive as simpler, more innocent, maybe even more carefree. And you're right, it often comes with a tinge of bittersweetness.
So it's not just about wishing you could go back to being a kid, there's like layers to it.
Exactly. Nostalgia is a complex emotion. Research actually suggests it's about longing for a sense of belonging, for a time when our lives felt less burdened by the weight of adulting.
Hmm.
We tend to look back on those memories with rose-tinted glasses, focusing on the joy and simplicity while kind of glossing over any challenges we might have faced.
So we're chasing that feeling of pure joy, that freedom from the weight of like bills and responsibilities.
Yes, the weight of it all, precisely.
Makes sense. But shifting gears a bit here, one thing that really struck me was the stark contrast between Ronica and Robin's upbringings. Ronica, surrounded by nature in her village, and Robin amidst the neon lights and endless possibilities of the city. Do you think, expert speaker, these drastically different environments could leave their own unique imprints on their personalities?
That's such a great observation. And we often underestimate the impact our physical environment has on our development. Studies on children raised in rural environments like Ronica often point to a heightened sense of wonder and independence. Think about it. She spoke about waking up early, helping with the harvest, bathing in well water.
It does sound almost idyllic, doesn't it? Like a storybook kind of childhood. But then you have Robin navigating the concrete jungle. Do you think, expert speaker, that his city upbringing, with its faster pace and constant stimulation, maybe even a bit of chaos, cultivated a different set of strengths in him?
Absolutely. Research actually suggests urban environments often foster a different kind of creativity, one that thrives on social interaction and exposure to tons of diverse cultures.
Yeah.
Just imagine, right, being a kid navigating a bustling city, all that constant problem solving, learning to read different social cues, even just figuring out how to get around. It takes resourcefulness, for sure. These kinds of experiences, they can really nurture adaptability and that certain knack for handling, well, complicated social situations.
It's fascinating how these two totally different settings can shape our strengths. Ronica finding strength in the tranquility of nature, and Robin, like you said, thriving on the energy of city life. Both unique, both valuable. But despite these contrasting upbringings, both Ronica and Robin seem to circle back to how important relationships were to them growing up. I've got to say, I was particularly moved by Robin's story about his grandfather and how even years after his grandfather's passing, he still feels his presence like, as Robin put it, a whisper in the wind. Expert speaker. What is it about those grandparent-grandchild relationships that can leave such a lasting, I don't know, a lasting mark on us even years later?
Oh, I know. It's such a powerful image, isn't it? The whisper in the wind. And it speaks to the incredible influence grandparents can have in our lives. I think these relationships, they offer a special mix of unconditional love, hard-earned wisdom, and this really beautiful sense of connection across generations. Grandparents often have, well, let's face it, they usually have a bit more time and patience to dedicate to things like storytelling, passing on family history, sharing those traditions, right? And these interactions, they're not just heartwarming, they can be seriously formative, shaping our values, our beliefs, even just the way we view the world around us.
It's like they become part of who we are, even after they're gone.
It's exactly woven into the very fabric of our lives. And it highlights this broader truth about the importance of relationships in general, particularly those early bonds we build with family and close friends. They're fundamental to our sense of self, our sense of belonging in the world. These relationships, they give us this safe haven to explore, to test things out, a sounding board for our thoughts and feelings. And I think importantly, they act like a mirror, reflecting back to us who we are and who we want to become.
It really makes you realize how crucial those early connections are and how much they stay with us throughout our lives. We carry them with us, shaping our paths in ways we might not even realize. And speaking of carrying things forward, I was struck by how both Ronica and Robin talk about how much they've changed since they were kids. I mean, it's natural, right? We all grow and change. And yet, there's something about childhood that sticks with us. Do you think, expert speaker, there's a reason why certain memories, particularly those early ones, seem to have this like staying power? Why do some memories refuse to fade?
That is a great question. And it brings us to a really cool psychological concept known as the reminiscence bump. Basically, research has found that we tend to remember way more events and with way more clarity from our adolescence and early adulthood, those years between, say, 10 and 30, than any other period in our lives. It's like those years get special treatment in our memory banks.
So even though it feels like we remember our entire childhoods vividly, it's actually just those pivotal moments that really take root. But why those years specifically? What's so special about that period in our lives that makes them so, well, so memorable?
Well, if you think about it, adolescence and early adulthood, those are periods of huge change and self-discovery. We're busy forging our identities, experiencing all those first love, first heartbreak, that first job, maybe the first time living away from home, and oh boy, are we grappling with some major life decisions. And let's be real, these experiences are often super emotionally charged, which, guess what, makes them way more memorable. Plus, on top of that, our brains are still developing during this time, especially the areas dealing with memory consolidation. It's like those events get etched into our neural pathways, becoming a core part of our own personal stories.
So those years, they become this highlight reel, playing on a loop in our minds. That makes so much sense. But it's not always those big, life-altering moments, though, is it? Sometimes it's just a simple sensory detail that sticks with us. Like, Ronica vividly remembers the smell of her grandmother's fresh-baked bread, or how Robin can practically still feel the sensation of cool grass between his toes from when he was a kid. Why are those sensory details so powerful? What gives them that staying power? It's like those little things, those smells, those feelings, they have this uncanny ability to just transport us right back to our childhood, don't they? It's amazing.
They really do. It's like stepping into a time machine. And, it makes perfect sense when you think about how our brains work. Those sensory details, they're like supercharged memory triggers. They engage different parts of our brain, making those memories much more vivid, much more enduring. It's like our senses imprint those moments onto our very being.
Wow, imprinted onto our very being. That's pretty powerful stuff. And it makes you realize all those seemingly insignificant moments, the taste of your grandma's cookies, sound of rain on your bedroom window, they all add up to something, well, something significant.
Absolutely. They form the tapestry of our childhoods. It's funny, isn't it? We started with a simple English language lesson, and look where we've ended up reflecting on the universal experiences of childhood, the common threads that connect us all.
It's true. Hearing Ronica and Robin's stories has really got me thinking about my own childhood. Like, I remember building forts out of blankets with my cousins and the smell of my dad's coffee on Sunday mornings. Those seemingly insignificant moments, they're coming back to me now, and you know what? They're bringing a smile to my face. What about you? What are some of those childhood memories that are resurfacing for you?
It's been an incredible journey down memory lane. And, you're so right. It's often those small, seemingly insignificant moments that hold the most significance. They're the ones that shaped us. And, as you continue to think back on your own childhood and all those memories that are popping up, consider this. How might those early experiences, those simple joys, those relationships that meant so much be shaping the way you see the world today, the way you interact with others, the way you approach life in general? Maybe, without even realizing it, you carry a piece of your grandfather's wisdom in your heart. Or maybe you draw strength from the independence you cultivated, building those blanket forts, navigating your own little world. I think our childhood selves, they never really leave us. They whisper their stories, shape our present, and remind us of the incredible power of human connection.
That's such a beautiful thought. Our childhood selves whispering their stories. I love that. Well, this deep dive has been quite a journey. Thank you, expert speaker, for sharing your insights and for helping us unpack the complexities and the beauty of childhood. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this exploration down memory lane. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.